Hello and a very warm welcome to you for live coverage of the CEV Men's Champions League. Clayton Lucas here with you as we get ready for the first leg of the semi-final between Itas Trentino and Sicoma Monini Perugia. Well, the venue for this one is the BLM Group Arena here in Trento, northern Italy, for this all-Italian encounter. Now, both teams are flying high domestically. Perugia are currently top of the league. Trentino are only slightly behind them in third place. These are the teams arriving earlier. Trovica, who is the setter for Perugia, leading the team through. It really is a case of two dream teams for this encounter. If you could sit there and think, right, I'd like these, I'd lead an opposite, the middle is Big Vern, Sharon Vernon Evans, the Canadian international, playing in the opposite slot. One of your players, the captain for Perugia, Atanasievich. And then, of course, Wilfredo Leon. You just have to think to yourself, goodness me, what a team. It is a dream team. Everybody doing their scans and doing their COVID checks, as is now the new normal. There have been some impacts regarding COVID for the Champions League. A few teams have had to forfeit, etc., but it's still going ahead, it's still happening. This is the Trentino boys. Lucarelli making his way through. Just before, in front of him was
Vital, the first step of Italian derby. What is your impression first before the match?
I will tell you honest. What my impression is, it's missing the 5,000 people around me. That's a pity, because I think it's really a highlight of the season. In my eyes, two absolutely top teams from Italy and from the world are playing against each other. I don't know who will win, because it will be a match close like this. Yeah, but I think it will be a great match. And that's why we play volleyball, to offer people great sport. And I hope we can do this. A lot of fight, a lot of intensity. Trento can play a great match, and we win, and I'm very happy.
Thank you very much. Angelo, this is the first step of the Italian derby. What is your impression before the match?
Yes, it's an Italian derby. That means we know very well the opponent's value, and that we have to play a great volleyball in these two matches, and sure we will do everything in these two matches.
It's really good to hear the two coaches with their views on this one. Juri Mokrai, the first referee from Slovakia, doing the coin toss between Ginelli and Atanasievich. With those formalities out of the way, just checking where to sign. Both players can get on with the warm-up. Like Vital Heinen says, yes, it's a shame there aren't 5,000 people here. It is a great match, but if you can't be there, because we can't, then this is the next place to be, and that's sitting watching in front of a screen. Teams just going through the final phases of the warm-up. There's from Perugia's point of view, no direct flights to get to Trento. Perugia sits about 2/3 of the way up the country, but it's still a 6-hour-plus journey. This is the road to the final. Zenit Kazan are looking good at the moment in their game against Kitzoli of Poland. Kazan's such a powerhouse in Champions League volleyball, looking to be in yet another final. In fact, Wilfredo Leon, who is playing for Perugia, formerly played for Zenit and played against Perugia in Champions League matches. In fact, Perugia lost to Zenit in 2016-17 season 3-0, 15, 23 and 14. And Leon was on that team. The only player from Perugia who was involved in that match then was in fact Alexander Antanasievich, the captain. It's a completely different looking lineup for Perugia, so too for Trentino as well. As seasons change, so do players. Only Gianelli has been in a Champions League final for Trentino when they lost to Zenit in 2015-16 season. That was a 3-2 encounter. Look at the quality. Marko Podraskanin, number 18, the middle blocker, along with Sreko Lizinats, number 20. Two superstars of world volleyball. Both play for Serbia, both middle blockers for the Trentino team. And looking at their likely starting lineup, it's probably going to be Nimir in the opposite slot, number 14, Gianelli setting, number 9, and then Dick Coy, the Dutch outside hitter, number 11 in your picture, with then Brazil's Lucarelli, and as mentioned, Podraskanin and Lizinats, the two middle blockers. That would be, and has been, a favoured starting lineup for Trentino, along with Salvatore Rossini, number 7, as libero. For Perugia, they've been going with Wilfredo Leon, number 9, through the outside, along with Oleg Plotnitsky from the Ukraine, number 17. It's been Dragan Trevica, number 4, setting with Tista Horst, number 5, in the opposite slot. And then the two middle blockers have been Sebastian Solé, the Argentine international, number 11. And a little bit of a toss-up really for coach Vital Heinan as to whether or not he goes with Fabio Ricci, number 2, or whether he goes with number 12, Roberto Russo. Those two have been the only ones who've really been swapping in and out. Salvatore Rossini, such a good libero, former international. He's been there, done that. When you look at this Trentino team, in fact, only Simone Gianelli is one of the first 6 who's Italian. They do have Italian players on the bench in Lorenzo Cortesia, middle blocker, former junior national team player. Andrea Argenta also is in the opposite slot as a backup, and then Alessandro Micheletto and Lorenzo Sperotto, both of whom played junior national team. Sperotto, the setter, who played in under-20s, under-19s. It's back up to Gianelli. And another backup player for the outside for Trento is Luis Thomas Souza, Cuban international, number 16. That's pretty much the lineup for Trento. The other player not mentioned, 24, Carlo De Angelis, is the backup libero. You can see when you look at Michelet, he looks like 12 years old, doesn't he? It's young faces, but a quality player to be playing for Trentino and earning some serious money in doing so. You've got to be good, and there's a good player in your picture. There's a brilliant player in your picture in Lucarelli. He's a bit like Mikhailov, actually, for Russia, is Lucarelli. In two very similar characters, just all about the team, very humble people who go about the business of playing their volleyball, loving what they do. This is the Perugia lineup. Piccinelli is the libero, but also they've got David Sossenheimer, who can play as a libero and has been down as a libero, but also as an outside hitter, so it's going to be interesting to see. But it's going to be Piccinelli as a libero for this one, along with Colacci. But they have got quality all over the court, have Perugia. So too have Trentino, as mentioned. Certainly we can expect to see a real battle between the likes of Nimir and Leon, but also Oleg Plotnitsky, who has been doing really well as outside hitter 2 from the Ukraine for Perugia. Nimir is currently the top scorer in the Champions League with 155 points. He's averaging 4.5 points a set. Not that you can get half a point. So he's averaging just over 4 points a set. That's what statistics do for you, don't they? Make you say crazy things. Six-hour journey for Perugia to make it up here to Trentino. The two teams have already played each other domestically, and the head-to-head is in favour of Perugia. They lead 2-1. They won against Trentino 3-1 in the first game of the season. They lost the first set to 17, then won to 22-17, and then a very close fourth set, 27-25. Then it was Trentino who won the second game, 3-1. Took the first set 25-20, lost the seconds 23-25, and then went on to take the next two to 19 and to 21. In the latest game between the two of them, Perugia won 3-0 in the Super Cup. And that was 25-19, 25-14, 25-17. Victory for the team in your picture. Well, that was then and this is now. And whilst it might be all smiles at the moment, it certainly won't be as this one is finished. As to who will take the victory and be in the driving seat ahead of the second leg remains to be seen. And as Vital Heinen said in his interview, expect this one to be very, very close and almost impossible to call. Fortunately, the first referee, Yuri Mokra of Slovakia, is one of the top referees in the world, so he'll be able to call it, no problem at all. And it is time now to officially meet the two referees. Yuri Mokra on the left of your picture. And he'll be ably assisted by Lucian Vasili Nastase of Romania. As always, we'll know if they've had a good game, the referees, because we won't notice them. All our attention and focus will be on the action on the court. Perugia now making their way out onto court. To Horst on his way out, so too Leon, along with Travica. So far so good in terms of the lineup. It will be Sebastian Solé, and it's going to be, in fact, Roberto Russo starting in the middle ahead of Fabio Ricci. And the starting libero, Massimo Colacci. That's how the team line up. To Horst at 5, wearing number 5. Starting Travica at 2, so he'll go back to serve after the first point. So they move into a strong rotation. Now Trentino making their way out onto court. No surprises, Lucarelli. The only real surprise is Alessandro Micheletto as a starter. So the youngsters getting a run out through the outside. But other than that, it's a pretty strong team. So Lucarelli is replacing Dick Hoy. Oh, sorry, Micheletto is replacing Dick Hoy. Lucarelli starts, so to Lisinets, Podraskanin, Cianelli and Abdelaziz. Interesting tactic, whether or not there's an issue with Hoy or Sosa, or whether in fact Angelo Lorenzetti isn't too sure where to start, which one of them to start. Or he just feels, do you know what, Micheletto is the man for the job. Age is irrelevant. If you're good enough, you are good enough. We are moments away from getting this game started. Yuri Mokrai just checking everyone's ready. It's Trentino in white with the serve, Perugia in the red and blue receiving this, the first leg of semi-final action from the CEV Men's Champions League. And Lucarelli with an easy one as far as Perugia concerned, not troubling them, only troubling the net, and that sends Travica. In fact, it's Ter Horst who goes back to serve, so they weren't quite lined up as the graphic suggested. We can expect to see a few of those serves going into the net, but that's the nature of this game. If you don't take the risk, if you don't go for it, you're not going to get much reward. You have to serve tough. Podraskanin with a decent serve, bringing Travica off the net, but it still allows Perugia to run what they want through the outside. And Plotnitsky looking to have a decent swing. It's always tough. There's a lefty on the left side. And he didn't quite find the court with that one. And the reason it's tough for a left-hander to hit on the left side is because the angles are very different. Normally your opposite players, your right-sided hitters, are lefties. It naturally flows. Very few left-handed middle blockers as well. For exactly that reason, because of the way that you have to come in and approach. Plotnitsky then with the serve. Big serve. Well watched by Gianelli. And just as I was saying, very few lefties on the left side. Up steps Micheletto. And that's a really good swing from him, getting off the hands of Travica. Nemir, one of the toughest serves in the modern game. And that's well dealt with by Leon. And a really good side out from Perugia. They've got off of Nemir's serve without any points being lost. Nemir Abdelaziz not troubling Perugia with that one, and it's a really good swing that from Ter Horst. The opposite swing hitter, or the opposite hitter, Sebastian Soleil now with his first serve. He will cause problems for Podraskanin and Lisinats, will Soleil, because of the way that he attacks. Very unique style. That's an error, is it? No, just caught somebody on the way out. Both teams still trying to find a rhythm at the moment, trying to find their flow. That from Lucarelli, just catching the fingers of Roberto Russo. Was a good serve. Perugia out of system and they're in trouble here, and it's going to cost them a point. Gianelli making sure that the ball doesn't come over. And if you were wondering why Micheletto was on ahead of Dick Coy, now we know his jump serve causing problems for Perugia. He's +2 at the moment. Micheletto, one from attack, one from serve. That's certainly how he'll look at it. Oh, free ball over here for Trentino. Oh, not such a good ball though by Lisinats. He got caught in the moment. Oh, well played by Nemir. Wrapped it into the net. And because it went low into the net, it came back out where it could be recycled. And Lucarelli puts Trentino up by 3. But it is all a little bit scrappy at the moment. It doesn't really matter. Look at that. Brilliant. Sug out of the net. And then Lucarelli going with his left hand. And he's not left-handed. But he's very skillful.
Lui ti cerca draga normale, non così male umore, deve conto se lui cerca draga e dopo guys parlare, trovare, fare le cose che noi facciamo 5 errori, 6 punti, 5 errori noi ragazzi.
Vital Heinen is a real character, coaches the Polish national team. And speaks a multitude of languages. Moment, not too happy with the way Perugia are playing, and because there's too many errors as far as he's concerned. Although if you don't make errors, you're not really taking risks. As one great coach would tell you, Mark Lebedew. That's why we see those errors in serve, because you're having to really take a risk to stop the other team from being able to play at their peak. Nice swing that from Leon, getting it across and under the block. That's a battle, and an interesting battle as a blocker at this level, because you can get so high. Leon, for example, touches 3.70 meters. The net's 2.43 meters, which is the same height as the crossbar in soccer or football. It's about 8 foot. So these guys are getting so far above it. Look at Lizinats, he's head and shoulders and chest above the net. But then you've got players against you doing the same thing. So you have to go up, but you also have to try and get close to the ball and go across. If you went straight across, you'd get the ball in the face, unless it was a tight ball and you could get your hands on it. Not such great defense from the youngster, Chiletto, and so Perugia get their side out. De Horst working well through position 4. Leon there to serve. That's well left. As Gianelli moves into the back row, that brings 3 front court attackers up for Trentino. So more options at the net to put pressure on Perugia's block, especially when you add in Micheletto, who can hit pipe. That's caught some fingers, says the first referee. Very well spotted that by Yuri Mokraj. He is an international referee, has refereed at World Championships. At the very highest level, so he's used to these types of games. Nice set this from Gianelli. It's got all of everything it needed, but then Nimir's tried to put it inside the 3-meter line. When you look at these two teams, and you look at teams like this in the world of pro volleyball, you'd have to wonder, when you're taking the best players from around the world to make one country, as we look at that amazing block, that whether a team like this would beat a national team. Look, brilliant. Movement inside, a little change back from De Horst as well to get Nimir. That's excellent. That would make for an interesting little competition, wouldn't it? If you took, say, a Brazil challenge, but then Lucarelli, who would he'd have to play for Brazil, I suppose, but even so, would Trento beat Brazil? Would Perugia beat Brazil? That's a huge block. Nimir getting shut down on his side earlier, then shuts down Plotnitsky. There was absolutely nowhere at all for Plotnitsky to go, and he's tried to find a way through. There just weren't any gaps. Lucarelli now with the serve. Say a serve, but it's really a spike at this level, and the passing unit are really defending, just trying to get that ball high to the middle to allow Travica to come in and make a set, which is done. Really good swing there as well by De Horst, as he goes back for his second time to the serving line. Well kept in play, bit of a scramble for Gianelli. Oh, that's brilliant. What a really clever piece of play from Alessandro Micheletto. Didn't panic, 3 blockers, knew there was a gap on that side of 4, so just calmly rolled it there because the player who would have been there is in on the block. Podraskinin. Not really a game for the middle blockers to get involved with attacking-wise, such as the serving level of both teams, because the set is being brought off the net all the time. So the likes of Podraskinin, Lisinats, and also Russo and Solé, we haven't seen them have a swing yet, and that's going to be few and far between, which then, of course, means when it's a really good ball in, the middle blocker might commit. So it makes it even more difficult, doesn't it, as to know what to do in that situation. Do the setters think like that as well and think, well, this is a perfect ball in, their middles expect me to go to the middle, so I'll go wide anyway, and in which case as a middle blocker, you're not going to see the ball at all day long in terms of having an attack. Again, setter off the net, players jumping, Sole's going up, but he's not taking anybody with him. And Leon getting 2 blockers against him, knows he's made a mistake. Or has he? We're going to have a video check. Really, really good podcast with Leon on the Ace Space on the CEV website. Leon chatting with Hugh Mikel, talking about his life as a volleyball player. And it made for very interesting listening, particularly when he was asked about what he thinks before he serves. Was that caught someone? Looks like the ball has gone behind, it's already gone past Lisinats, so I don't think there's a touch there, there isn't a touch there. And in fact, talking about pre-serve preparation, it's very important you have a pre-serve routine. And I'll come to Leon in a moment, maybe when he goes back to serve next. So Namir now, that's the 2nd time around. First one was sided out, second one not a trouble at all, as he doesn't even make Perugia play it. But the key to a good serve is having your pre-serve routine when the whistle goes, and use those 8 seconds wisely and focus on what it is you need to do after you've taken instruction from the coach, or you already know what you're doing because of your game plan. And look at that, Lisinats with his first opportunity to have a swing, and he's overcooked this, he's over-rotated. Dear me, you won't be happy with that. Neither would Gianelli. Solé now with the serve. Good work from Micheletto once again. Wondering why Solé's doing a jump float serve? Well, it's just as effective, if not more so, than a jump serve at times. Putting the team under pressure. The flight of the ball not being on an arc, but being on a straight line, a little bit more difficult to pinpoint where it's coming down. Lovely, really quick play. That 10 being hit by Terhorst very quickly. And Leon's movement as well. Suddenly the block's being split one way, and it's one-on-one. And Lucarelli took some space away, but pretty much a free swing for Terhorst. Travica now with the serve. Excellent ball in. And as soon as the team are in the system, which means, for those of you wondering what that means, when Gianelli's got all of his options, 3 hitters or maybe more, then the opposition are really going to struggle. The same too for Trento. If Perugia are in system, then they too will struggle. The speed of the play makes it difficult. Plus 4 players moving, and that one is a good ball in, and there is a swing for the middle blocker, and that's exactly what Russo wanted. Gets the better of Podraskinin. Leon back to the serving line, so he's concentrating on the process here. He's looking to hit this as hard as he can, but not to find an ace, but to do exactly what he's done. Take the team out of system, allow the three blockers to get in and make something happen. Well, that's really well played by Podraskanin. Trentino wriggle off the hook here with some individual brilliance from Podraskanin. But that serve from Leon is exactly what he was trying to do. That was his process in a nutshell. Trying to get the team out of system, not looking for the ace. Didn't quite work out. Well, he did exactly what he wanted to, but the team weren't able to capitalize. Ginelli now back. So both teams matching up pretty evenly in terms of when the setter's going back. Trevizo went back just one rotation before Ginelli. Plotnitsky working the block. Quick ball, like an E-quick outside. Putting time pressure on the block and making, or just creating those gaps in the block is what you want to do between the middle blocker and the outside blocker. That gives the outside hitters and the opposites some space to work with. Best of passes from Lucarelli. But then he knows exactly where to put the ball. You could see there was a big space at position 5 because Leon was out of position. No libero on court. And what a difference having the libero on court seems to make nowadays as to when it's not. Be interesting to see the stats on how many points are won from a team without the libero on, or how many times the ball's transitioned without the libero on court as opposed to when the libero is on. So the effectiveness of when the middle blocker serves. To Horst, working the block well. Oh, that's a massive serve. It's a big ace serve from Horst. He's put that one in the seam between 5 and 6, and he's done it brilliantly. That's the weak point to exploit between the two players, especially with Micheletto. As good as he is, he's still a youngster, still learning his trade, and wasn't sure whether to play that or not. First ace of the match. There might be a second one here. That looked like it landed in on the line after it hit the net. Did it? Oh, no, it didn't. Podraskanin. Oh, he's got an ace. Another one into the seam. The gap between the three passes is ideally where you want to try and put the ball to create some confusion into the panic channel. And that's exactly what's happened. Not that they panicked, but it was certainly the corridor of uncertainty, wasn't it? As that one's gone off and into the crowd.
Guys, e noi, come on, abbiamo così molte possibilità. Oh, like difesa di letto dove? Yeah, behind the dragon and right, not where. That was the fault. Don't leave too much. When you feel the middle guy coming, don't give, because he will look for you in the backcourt. That's it. It's a lot of small guys. Piccolo pari. Non è molto. Yeah, abbiamo molte possibilità. Ma tutto funziona. Un cambio.
Another interesting chat with Leon was about having Vital Heinen as his coach, because he's his coach here for Perugia, but also his coach for Poland, so he's with him all the time. But he didn't seem to mind that at all. He said there was no difference either in his coaching style between national team and coaching Perugia. Nice pass, that. And even though Lizinet's committed on the middle, he couldn't get the right angle to shut that down. In fact, jumped a tad early. Nice play that from Solé. Solé does like to turn that ball down to 1 where he can. Lizinet's read it well, but didn't stay in. To Horst, taking a breather. So Perugia looking here not to transition the ball and unnecessarily run anything from the back row, but certainly to keep the ball off the floor with the three solid defenders. And that's worked really well. So coming in and replacing, in fact it's Jan Zimmerman who's come in, so he's replaced Hills, which suggests it's going to be a double sub coming, and with Hurst going off and being replaced.
Buono qua, questo qui è probabile ricezione negativa, qui dobbiamo avere pazienza, ok? Sono tutti e due muri alti, quindi sono comodi, ok? Anche sulle scamative o tagliamo il colpo, giochiamo sulle mani del muro per andare lì a coprire. Bene la transizione in situazione di rigiocata, e poi dopo su di te ci salta anche su rigiocata.
Plotninsky once again. That's a huge swing and a big point for Trentino. A double substitution for Perugia, not really paying dividends just yet. Matsumusai is in the front row, the opposite slot, with Zimmerman in the back row. Just trying to keep some pressure on the net against Trento. But it's into transition here for Trentino. Nimir. Oh, that's huge. Is it in? Yes, it is. Really good swing that from Nimir Abdelaziz. It's that transition play. And the substitution, the double substitution being reversed. Zimmerman comes back off, so too does Matsumusai. Now this is the time, really, Perugia have to get off this serve. Oh. Well, as good as he is, and he is the best, and he has had some incredible serving runs, Nimir, but he's just given 3 points to Perugia from service so far in this first set. But they still have their noses in front. Solé now with the serve. Good ball in from Lucarelli. And that's immediately, that's how you make up for an error. Just make it the next play, the next touch, a good touch. And always a good coaching point if your player just makes an error. It's okay, make sure it's a good next touch, and that's exactly what Nimir's done. Not just a good touch though, was it? It was a point-winning touch. It was an excellent touch. It's a crunching spike. Giletto. A bit of frustration for himself. But now he has to get over that, make a good dig if it comes his way, or a good pass. Maybe a pass. Trevizo with the serve. He's not going with the jump serve. Well, it is, but not perhaps as tough as he's used to, because they're able to run the middle off it. Really good pass that from Micheletto, who got his feet caught and was ended up having to dive after this one. But he kept his platform brilliantly, and that allowed the ball to go to exactly where Gianelli was then able to want to put it, to find Lisinats. Lisinats has got a good jump serve when he gets it going. But no one yet to get a good run or put anyone under any real pressure, apart from the two clean aces we've seen. And that's a massive block, though, to put Lyon down. And now Trento have set point. Podraskanin, brilliant. He switched again. Lucarelli's on this near side. I'm not sure which way that one's gone. The referee having a little look here. Has this been a point. It's gone Trento's way at the moment. I think it's going to be a challenge here. They're looking for a net touch. They're clutching at straws. But those last 2 points was some good work from Trento, because Lucarelli and Gianelli switched places. And Gianelli, with obviously a bigger block than Lucarelli, a different proposition, was going up against Leon on that far side, and it worked. And then Lucarelli took his hands away, but did he fall into the net on the way down? And if he has touched the net, more crucially, had the ball hit the floor first? Those are the 2 things that will need to be looked at. If there is a net touch, was the ball down? If there isn't a net touch, was the ball in or out? I think it was out anyway, because they've given the point to Trento, so now looking to see whether or not the net touch, which is coming. Is there a net touch? There's no net touch. There's no net touch. There's still no net touch, and the first set goes to the way of Trento. So there you have it. Really good finish from Trentino to take that opening set against Perugia, 25-21. Well, that first set, 26 minutes, but it really went quickly as both teams were pretty close with each other until the last few points, when Trento did enough to see that first set out. Despite Nimir's lack of ability to get a point from the serving line, still effective from position 10 in that back row. Away we go with the second set. Perugia with the serve, trailing by 1-0 against Trentino. Giletto keeps his place on court, no changes for either side. Trentino's road to this semi-final started in Puglia, where they hosted the first mini-tournament. Oh, what a set that is. Well, Trento thought that ball had come over the net and Lisinats let it go. He didn't put his hand up here, but Travica has kept it in play fairly and found the middle. You can't challenge whether the ball has been played over that side of the net. Lisinats doesn't care. Challenge. I'll challenge everything because I didn't get the point. That's the way that you deal with it. You just let the volleyball do the talking. And Cinelli finds Lisinats and lets him do what he does best. This is a nice start from Trentino, 3-1. Oh, nearly kept in play as well. Salvatore Rossini scampering after that one. And Trento have done a good job of getting touches and slowing the ball down off Leon. They know he's a big threat, and that was almost kept in play brilliantly. When you have little moments like that as a team and you start getting touches and you start almost kind of keeping the ball in play and making the court seem small, it can put that little bit of extra pressure on the attacker, even though they got the point. Leon that time just going for as much height as he could and then just became a rebounding board for that one to go off his hands and way out. It really is a cracking game, and wherever you might be watching from, I hope you're enjoying it, whether it be the Netherlands or anywhere else for that matter. And there's plenty of interest around Europe with the players that are here. And if you are, of course, in the Netherlands, you've got Horst to be supporting, you've got Abdelaziz to be supporting. Mr. Horst is having an excellent game as well, for that matter. Well, that's going to stay in play. Ooh, someone's got to bring it back. Work to do for Lucarelli. Oh, he's done it brilliantly. 3 blockers. Give me more. Put more blockers there. I'll take you all on. Well, he just did. He took on 3 blockers and 3 defenders, and he got the point. That was world class from Lucarelli. Ginelli now makes his way back to the serving line. Looking for a touch, it's not been given. And Perugia got into a little bit of bother then, because Roberto Rosso took the ball away from his middle blockers, all got a little bit jammed up. So took the ball away from his passes, him being the middle blocker. Timeout called.
Un altro livello, guys. È per tutti. Noi facciamo l'attacco fuori, dopo abbiamo il controattacco, faccio niente. Un altro dice bam! Sì, prima devi fare dentro. Vai. Non si può fare la prossima. Dai, la prossima.
Lo guardi, poi tanto sotto lì e andiamo là, ok?
Ehi, bel lavoro di squadra. Vai.
That's the run of points so far. Trentino getting 1 break point. So they've only had 1 point from their serving. The rest have been side-out points. Well, that can be the difference. break point, and then the side out, which is giving you the 3-point difference. There'll be some of you watching who won't even heard of, weren't around when volleyball was played to 15 points, but you could only score if you were serving. That's well played by Trento. They got it into transition. They've come up with another point. It's another break point. Now they've got a 4-point lead as a result. And Podraskanin gets his swing through the middle. Very grateful to get it. No chance at all for Perugia with that one. Again, Russo having to take the ball. And again, problems for Perugia. You really don't want your middle blockers passing the ball unless they can pass it in a way that allows all of the options to be available, and they weren't all available for Perugia. And Trentino read them, and there was nowhere to go.
Con l'equilibrio che giocare, oggi è dare appunto senza idee. Ok? Prima rotazione, sopra la prossima, cazzo, andiamo forte con le nostre dai.
Via, vai.
Trentino's road to this semi-final. They were in Pool E, as I mentioned. They beat Lokomotiv Novosibirsk 3-2. They then beat Karlovarsko 3-1. They also then beat Friedrichshafen, which was Vital Heinen's former club, 3-0. And they beat Friedrichshafen because of COVID. They had to forfeit. And then in really bad luck for Friedrichshafen, they were hosting the next round of the tournament, but they couldn't play a single game because of COVID. So they lost all their matches. And Trentino beat Novosibirsk 3-0 in that one. Karlovarsko 3-1. And Friedrichshafen obviously 3-0. So they finished top of the group. Novosibirsk was second. In the quarterfinals, Trento beat Mark Lebedeau's former club, Berlin Recycling Volleys, 3-1 away. Nimir was the best scorer in that one with 28 points. And then they beat them at home 3-0. Nimir again best scorer with 12. That's Trentino's story. Perugia, well, not quite the start they would have liked. They lost to Civitanova 3-1 in Pool B in the first outing of their CEV campaign. They then beat Arkas Izmir of Turkey 3-0 and beat Tours VB of France 3-0. That mini tournament was played in France, and then Perugia were the host for the second part of the tournament. That is a wonderful line shot, textbook stuff from Nimir. Perugia beats Arkas 3-0. They had to forfeit due to COVID. They then beat Civitanova 3-0 and Tours 3-1. So they finished top of the group with Civitanova second. Good up from Lucarelli. High and wide, and brilliantly played, because everyone expected that ball to go to 4, and it was played behind to Nimir. Watch this, they all start going out. Yeah, that's going to 4, that's going to 4. 3 players gone the wrong way. Free swing for Nimir, and Big Vern was nowhere to be seen, having come onto court to try and make a difference. Hasn't happened just yet. And that's another error for Perugia. This set is rapidly running away from them here. So when Vernon Evans has gone back off again, Lucarelli with the serve. Good up. Oh, yes. Again, a ball that you perhaps thought was going to be going to 4, and a quick ball behind Tamir, and there was just that gap in the block for him to be able to then put it down in front. Completely caught Sole by surprise. Gap in the block, down Sole's front, point for Trentino. Brilliant. It's a tough old job being a middle blocker, but when you get it right, it's fantastic. Definitely underrated players, our middle blockers. They spend a lot of their time ploughing a very lonely furrow through the middle of court, not seeing the ball, or rather seeing it go past them or behind them. Matti Muzai's coming in, a direct replacement, one opposite for another. Dutch international replaced by a Polish international, and it's a Brazilian international who's doing a lot of damage from the serving line. Perugia pleased to see that one go wide of the court. Perugia may well be looking at 2-0 down here. They may well lose this 3-0 if they carry on playing like this. It's every chance they will, but you mustn't write them off. And I say that because if you look at their quarterfinal, you won't be writing them off. That's a huge block. Maybe that's the start of the comeback trail for them. There's no effort in Namir to go with that one, that's for sure. Straight down from Sole. Monster block. Perugia lost to Modena in the first leg of the quarterfinal 3-0, 21-18 and 22. Luca Vettori for Modena was the best scorer, 15 points. They then went back to Perugia, and Perugia won 3-0, 23-18, 21, and that meant it went to a golden set. Perugia won that 15-5. So they know how to pull it out the bag, but right now I'm sure they'd much rather try to pull it out of the bag before going to the second leg. And Namir now firing from the serving line. That's what he can do. That's what makes him so much of a threat from the serving line. And that's the first one he's got in. But it does mean, though, that Trentino now have a 10-point lead. That's incredible. Oh, another big serve. Brilliant play from Matti Muzai. Waiting for his chance to come on court and show what he can do. This is what he can do. Too easy for Trentino into transition. There's another chance here for Perugia. Oh, well played, yes, brilliant. Now you see it, now you don't. Everybody expecting that ball to go to an attacker. And listen, Lisinats had already gone off running, and he had his hands down by his chest. Classic middle blockers, pesky middle blockers. They have good days and bad days, but that's just some classic setting from Trevica. Good skills from Lucarelli. But nowhere to go that time, off the net. Angle was running away from him. Slowly but surely, perhaps, Perugia finding a little bit of rhythm. Making some changes that are having an impact. Fabio Ricci, who many thought may well have started this one, is now in for Roberto Russo in the middle. However, it could just be a case of Hainan deciding this set's already gone and taking the players off to give them the rest for the next one. Have to wait and see if any more changes are made. So far, 4 points then for Lisinats. Points scored doesn't take into account the errors he's made to go against that. So we know he hit one out and he's just put one in the net, so that would only make him +2 if we just looked at those in terms of overall effectiveness. Leon getting ready to deliver. Good up. Not for a second time, though. Podraskanin was waiting for that. It was unfortunate for Leon, in the right place, but didn't get his hips under the ball to send the ball high and keep it on his side. Goes over, and then Podraskanin says thank you very much. Ginelli back to serve. So once again, Trentino into a strong rotation defensively with 3 big blockers and then transition to 3 attackers plus Micheletto on the pipe. That's a good swing from Ricci, turning that one back across his body to the open court. Lucarelli giving it a good old thwack. Didn't really know exactly where it'd gone after he did it. Pleased it hadn't come off of him. Good dig. Musai's having an impact here. He's definitely allowing Perugia to score more points. He's certainly having a positive impact. Wiping that one off of the hands. No change in the mindset from the serving line, even when you're that far down. You just got to go for it. Podraskanin now for Trentino. 3 points away from going 2-0 up. Just looking at the players here, they're on their feet. Unfortunately for Ginelli, gone one way then the other. He was like a cat on a hot tin roof moving around. Didn't take a neutral position early enough to be able to go after the ball. Good ball in that under the circumstances, but it is Perugia have got it into transition. Classic. That was a taste of Brazil, delivered with some Italian magic. As Ginelli finds Lucarelli. Could be wrapped up here with Nimir if he can get his serves in. That was like a double quick out wide. That's a massive block to deny Nimir the opportunity to bring Trentino to set point. See the height of that block, Soleil and Leon combining, closing so much court space. Zimmerman now on to serve, Soleil taking a rest. Lovely. Lizinats hitting the way he was facing into position 5. A tidy side out that brings up set point for Trentino. You get the feeling now it's all about just getting some rhythm here for Perugia to try and take in some momentum to take into the next set. Well, they got it into transition again. Leon. Oh, that's not going anywhere though. Straight down, massive block from Lizinats and Cinelli. And the second set goes the way of Trentino, 25-16. It's a good touch to get it into transition. And then Leon was shut down by Lizinats. Trentino leading by 2-0 here at home to Perugia. This is the perfect start for Itas Trentino. Still a long way to go, but it is Trentino who lead by 2, taking that second set emphatically, 25-16. It's all or nothing now for Perugia then. Set 3 underway. Trentino with the serve leading 2-0. And that's exactly the start that Perugia needed as Leon tries to burst the volleyball. Vitally important that the court assistants come on and clear the perspiration off the court so players don't go flying and slipping and sliding. Brilliant work by Leon to keep that one in play. Another chance here for Micheletto. Oh, quality. Gianelli was like a gazelle then as he came in to play that. Bounce, 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 jump. Thank you very much. Have a free net in the middle. And the middle comes straight back at Trento. And what we are seeing is when that ball is good, the middles being the threat they are being used. And it's brilliant to watch. Lisinats is guessing as well at the moment for Trento in terms of his middle blocking, so it's a free swing for Perugia. Travica. Very nicely left by Micheletto. That time, with that ace serve from Nimir, almost as if he just took a little bit off that one. Or did he? In fact, he was facing down to 5 and he's just turned it all back to position 1. It wasn't about the pure power in the way he was going, it was about the misdirection. Really good serve from Nimir. Another belter, but dealt with. And Perugia had the chance to get the side out, but not taken. De Horst thinks that's come off the block. It may well have done off Gianelli, but he wasn't going to show it. He'll let the video check decide.
Hey, guys, referee.
And the decision is it did come off the block. The height that some of these players throw the ball just for their jump serves. There's plenty of gyms around Europe that they couldn't actually play in because they throw the ball up into the ceiling. Good serve, really good serve. But a really good side out as well. I mean, that ball came off of Massimo Colacci. It was like he was getting rid of a hot potato. But then it's gone out wide and really nice side out from Plotnitsky to wipe it off of the block. Lisinats again showing why he's so good and why he's so highly rated. Technically not the greatest when you watch him and you see how he plays the ball, but when you can jump as high as he can and hit the ball from the height he can, then technically you can forgive those moments when it doesn't quite go right. Because the rest of the time he just uses his athletic ability to make up for it. You see that a lot in certain positions and certain players, but the likes of Plotnitsky doesn't have that ability. He's all technique. It has to be because he's a smaller player, relatively speaking, and so technically really, really good. Lisinats just having a breather as he's replaced by Colacci. Lucarelli also a player that has to get it right technically. That time he didn't. He's turned that ball back into the block. Coaches will tell the players to really go after the fringes of the block, go after the edges of it, especially when it's a well-formed triple block. Try and find those weak points. You certainly will be very hard-pressed to find one in the middle of the block. Again, another ace serve in the seam between two players, and again, Micheletto involved in that.
Ok? E quando abbiamo l'occasione della palla alta, la tecnica, che sappiamo noi, ok? Dentro lì, dure le mani. Adesso hanno ripreso a fare cambio palla, quindi non ce ne saranno tantissime di rigiocate lì, occhio, ok?
When you look at the speed at which the ball is being played and the power being generated from the jump serve, and then you see where the aces come, where that ball going in between two players in the seam as it's known, begs the question, doesn't it? If players took a little bit off of the attack of the serve and took a bit more heat out of it, but got more direction, whether there'd be better success, whether they'd be able to put more pressure on teams, receiving teams, a receiving team, easy for me to say, as opposed to just going up, which they're doing at the moment, and absolutely battering the ball in a bid to get a team out of system. Whereas if you can find the seam with a slightly less hard-driven ball, would that be even more effective? Answers on a postcard. We talk about risk reward, you talk about the fact that at this level you have to be aggressive, and something that Leon alluded to in his podcast, which you can catch on the Ace Space on the CEV website, that the fact that the game between these two teams is very different to any game they play domestically, because everyone's more aggressive. This is the Champions League, you have to be more aggressive. If anything, Leon's been well contained by Trentino so far in this game. Good pick-up. Both teams are out of system, and it's Trento who get the block. Podraskinin and Nemir combining brilliantly. Big serve, this time from Lucarelli. Makes you wonder at times, doesn't it, how the players don't hurt their hands when they hit the ball so hard. But when you actually have a look, and if any of you have seen Wallace for Brazil, when he hits the ball, he strikes the ball, he almost clubs it with the palm of his hand, the very bottom of it, as opposed to really kind of getting fingers through the ball. They just get through it so quickly. They're up so high when they really are trying to generate power. But from the serving line, definitely full hand on the ball and wrapping it through to get the top spin that they want. Their hands must be like skin like leather. The likes of Nemir taping up his fingers, and you'll see that a lot as well with some of the guys who really do bang the ball, because the skin splits over time. So it's just to protect the fingers from that. Nemir working the block. It's Perugia who are surprisingly doing well in this third set, up by 2. It's not often you see players piking. Used to be a very big thing in terms of volleyball in the early decades, trying to generate that power. Players now trying to far more to separate shoulder from hip, reach up and take the ball at the highest point. Leon nice and straight in the air as he swings on that one. Travica did well. He held his ground. He had a decent angle, but didn't quite... Well, he just was in the right spot, wasn't he? And it's just rebounded off him before he really knew what happened, to be fair. Such was the speed of that from Trentino. Kopnicki slightly obscured. Oh, incredible. That's 2 aces now for Nemir, both in the same place. Right down in the corner in position 1. Are you going to call this a 1 in 10? Oh, that's a brilliant serve. But can he do it again and again is the question. Well, they're going to check just to see how far in it was, I think. Now, the ball does, like, impact down a little bit. That's almost completely gone flat, hasn't it? They might need to go and put some more air in that one. What a serve. If Nemir can find consistency in his serve, he'll be probably the greatest server of a volleyball. Lucarelli did well with that as the ball hit the net, and that's a cracking angle from Micheletto. He's hit that one from 4-4 inside the 3-meter line, with 2 blockers against him. Antahor standing in the 3-meter line as well, trying to defend it. Not going to happen. No touch, and so it is an error. And Trentino now are back level. There'll be a lot of time spent in the practice hall doing exactly this drill. The setter way off the net, finding a ball out wide, out of system, against 2 or 3 blockers, and practicing that, because it happens so often. That's a good lead from Leon. You can see the difference in the pace of the serve between Nemir and Micheletto. Nemir's, it was gone in a blur. Micheletto, there was time for Leon to take a couple of steps over and let it go. But was it the right choice to let it go? Quick decision. Oh, yeah, it's miles out. Not even close. Lucarelli did ever so well to get something on it. Gianelli loves to have a swing. That is a product of Gianelli being able to jump so high and take the ball so high that he actually at times needs to set the ball down a little bit to Lucarelli. But he's managed to rescue the situation. Lizinets now with the serve. Perugia back under pressure, it's all square. Oh, goodness me. And Leon are committed on the pipe, and the speed of all of this, look at it, it's just who goes with what, and they'd all gone with the pipe and left a free net for Soleil. When you are up against that, and for those of you that have stood the other side of the net and seen that coming at you, you know what fear is like. And also wondering what on earth is going on. That's why it's so important at this level for teams to try and get each other out of system, to reduce those options, not to allow second tempo opportunities, not to allow the pipe to happen, because otherwise you've just got no chance, or very little chance. You have to get lucky. Good ball. Oh, what a dig. So close was Trentino Gianelli. another bite of the cherry after the ball is dug over, and waiting to put it away was Plotnicki. Gianelli will be disappointed with his set, and I think also Rossini will be disappointed with volleying that one so close to the net. That's been played into the antenna, but it's Travizza who's touched the antenna, so that should go to Trentino.
Substitution, substitution. No video check, substitution. No
Oh, not going to do a video check. Ooh. Well, I hope they didn't see that on the big screen, because Travizza's definitely, well, I say that, from that angle that we're presented with, it looked as if Travizza touched the net with his hand. But did the ball also touch the net first? Touch the net, sorry, touch the antenna. Nicely done off the block and away. Nice introduction for Dikui. Patiently waiting for his opportunity to get on, and now he's off again, having got the side out. Lucarelli back to the serving line. It's rather a passive block from Nimir. And you look at that, put some hands up, but didn't really seem any intent to stop the ball, try and put the ball down on inside the court of Perugia. Blocking is very much an attacking action. It's an aggressive action. Even though you're defending, you're still attacking. You're still trying to get your hands to the ball. You're still trying to stop them from doing what they want to do and being aggressive while you're doing it. That point goes the way of Trentino. Travizza was who'd made a net touch on that last point, wondering why it's gone Trentino's way. And that is an aggressive action. That's a much better block from Nimir. That time he got his hands right across, completely changing the angles. Nice press, just closed that cross court.
Le rigiocate qui adesso, eh? Sì. Vai ragazzi, divertirsi, quello che deve...
Just having a little look at some of the stats so far in the competition. The two best blockers in this competition are Marco Podraskanin and Sreko Lisinats of Trentino. 24 kill blocks for Lisinats, 21 for Podraskanin, and an ace serve to boot for the Serbian middle blocker. Very happy with that. Oh dear, Leon. Not been his night, has it, Wilfredo Leon? There was a lot of hype pre-match of the battle between Leon and Nimir. It just hasn't transcribed or happened in that way at all. Decent ball in, nice set. Anywhere along that front row, you put the ball to Gianelli, and if he's in position, he can then distribute it pretty much wherever he wants. Nemir actually the best server in this competition with 12 points. 12 matches played, I should say. He's had 33 aces. He's already had a couple in this game, which will keep him on top. He's miles above everybody else, in fact. Maxim Mikhailov is the next best server in this competition. Look at that. He loves that little corner, doesn't he? He's unlucky he didn't make it. Maxim Mikhailov with 15 aces for Zenit Kazan. And in fourth place is Wilfredo Leon with 12. And it's all going Trentino's way at the moment. Too many errors for Peruggia. You're going to overcut the ball. That's what's going to happen. With Sciletto. When you look at the way that these two teams play, they certainly do like to go quick to the outside. And it's something that Plotnitsky likes because he's a smaller player and he can use the ball. Lucarelli doesn't mind going quickly. He's used to that playing for Brazil. But you do wonder, watching Leon, whether that's really what he wants to do when they're in system, whether he has more or less options as a result. But it's certainly something that they will be doing whenever they can, and they practice it time and time again. Lizenats. Trentino turned this one around. 3 away from taking the set, and with it taking this first leg. Perugia not just going to give it up though. That's a really good swing over the top of Gianelli from Plotnitsky. Big Vern's on, Sharon Vernon Evans. And he's in for blocking. And when you touch 372 and block it around 350, you can see why he'd be on. Oh, there's an opportunity. The chase was on for Colaci. Just didn't get the touch he needed. So Vernon goes off. Very nearly, but not quite for Perugia, as Trentino take the point. Gianelli. Net still shaking from that one. Now Gianelli's got to forget that he's just made that mistake and get ready to sort out his offense. Sousa getting a little opportunity to come onto court for some blocking, but didn't happen, so he's now back off. Lucarelli's back on. That's an excellent serve from Plotnitsky. High and wide for Nemir. 3 blockers to get past. And Nemir thinks he's got that off the block. So they're going to have a look. Leon saying no. Everyone's saying no. Who's bluffing who? Mr. Nastase. We'll go and have a look. There is a touch. Soleil it was who got his fingers on it, not that he was admitting to it. Match point then for Trentino, and Lucarelli it is to serve. Someone is smelling victory.
One challenge, one time.
They're just checking how many challenges that they've got left. Micheletto had one, which was out, which would have been in this set, because it wouldn't have been in the first set, was it? Now, now I'm wondering, how many have they got left? Lucarelli serving for the match. And Soleil keeping Perugia in it. When it comes down to this now for Trentino, they've got one clear-cut opportunity to win this from side out. Soleil's back to serve for Perugia. One, he's got to get it in, and two, he's got to try and get Trentino out of system. And he's done both of those things to a degree. But it doesn't change the outcome as Nemir belts that ball on the floor. Trentino take the set 25-23, and with it, the match in this first leg by 3-0 over Perugia. What a start to this semi-final of the Men's CEV Champions League. An emphatic victory for Trentino, and all the pressure now is definitely on Perugia, because not only have they just lost 3-0, it means they have to go and win 3-0 at home to force a golden set. And that means Trentino know that all they need is one set in the next leg to book their place in the final. Incredible match, incredible win for Trentino. Perugia really didn't get themselves into this game to the level they would have liked. It was a pretty even first set, but then Trentino snuck it at the end. They were in control in the second, all the way through, an emphatic second set, and in control, although they were slightly behind in the third, got back in control early to move on and take the third set, and with it the match. The player of the match is Nemir Abdelaziz. He receives a very nice little CEV trophy. Oh, he gets himself a little bit of bubbly. I'm sure he won't be drinking that just yet, though. Great result for Trentino. Very much in the driving seat in this first leg. All the pressure now on Vitel Heinen and his team to get a result at home in a week's time. This is how it was done. Gianelli gets set, puts it behind, and Nemir does the rest to give Trentino the victory. A great job then by Trentino. They have beaten Perugia by 3-0.
2 is done. This match amazing for Trentino Itas.
Yes, of course we are happy with the result, but like you said, it's the first step. We did nothing yet. Of course, this result for us it's good. We are in advantage, but like I said, there is nothing done yet, and now we need to prepare for the next match next week, because it's going to be a big battle again, and nothing is done yet. So this was a good start, but we need to focus directly on the next match.
Thank you very much. Andiamo con l'italiano. Abbiamo parlato noi per la CEV, perché mi tiri via il microfono? Cosa ne sai? Dobbiamo farlo per la CEV, cosa mi tiri via il microfono? Si dicono dalla regia. Ho capito, però dopo me la CEV invece lo chiede. Vabbè.
Vabbè.
Adesso in italiano.